Hey all, Hipper here. So today we are looking at the actual Hipper. And if you didn't know, this is one of the worst performing tier 7 cruisers in the game. And the average XP of this ship in the community is 977 base XP. That's very low, especially compared to other tier 7 cruisers who all sit around 1050. I mean, I'd say that's not impressive XP numbers in general, but Hipper is still one of the lowest scorers there, even though it was buffed, considerably buffed actually, about a year ago now. So anyway, we'll go through the ship in details here. I'll show you some different builds and we'll have a little bit of a discussion about the ship. And I really like this ship. It's one of my favorite ships. On my top 3. It's also one of the oldest ships in the game, really. It was, part of the first new nation added to the game, which was the Germans back in 2019. So like I said, I love playing Hipper, and especially after the boost it received about a year ago, I've been playing it a lot. I have more than 1200 battles in the ship now, nearly 3 million elite XP, and I really enjoy it. Yes, it has weak sides, like the engine is notorious for getting disabled by HE shells, especially from battleships shooting HE or Asumas, and yes, that is a problem, but I think it's a nice way of balancing this ship here. So let's see what Wargaming says about it. Extended sonar, that's right, you have 5.6 kilometer sonar, very important, that's the bread and butter of the ship. Superior AP damage, also true, we'll get into that later. Superior HE pen, that's also true. You don't get much HE damage, but you get nice pen, like all the Germans. So a heavy cruiser, yada yada. Not very quick, but very powerful AP. Extremely powerful AP. If you think variety is the spice of life, then this is the ship for you, or this is the ship line for you, because the Germans have so many different cruiser captains, so you can pretty much get any build you like. If you prefer Müller, like the more traditional build, or you want an agile build with Lütjens here, that's also an option, definitely. That's the build I run, by the way. Then we have the premium Azure Lane Hipper Commander. That's also plenty of options there. And of course, once you put the inspirations in there, they're even more. Then you have Graf Spee as well. And if that's not enough, we also have Riegerwald as a commander. So that's a lot of options there. And you can, tailor the ship to any playstyle, really. If we look at the consumables, like I mentioned before, the sonar is pretty much the most important thing on the Hipper, other than the AP shells. Because you get 5.6 detection of ships and 3.8 of torpedoes. You can of course boost that if you use one of the destroyer commanders. You can get it up to 5 kilometers of the torpedo detectability as well. You have to use your sonar in the ship. That's what it's all about, really. So yeah, you get a catapult fighter as well, and it's pretty standard, and we're not going to dwell on that one too much. When Hipper first came out, just like any other tier 7 cruiser, it didn't have a repair party. And it has a repair party now, just like any other tier 7 cruiser, and of course that helps a lot. It's already a pretty tanky ship, and if you run an agile build like I do, then it's nice to have those repairs that you can use when you take, a nasty hit. So yeah, definitely I like to have 3 of them with my agile build, and that's just me. So the HE shells, like I said before, the damage is not great. 2700, like look at Atago, is 3300. The fire chances are also kind of meh. But you do get 1/4 penetration, meaning that you can pen more armor with these shells here. And it's nice, but I mean, HE is not the primary focus of this ship. That is, of course, the armor-piercing shells, because look at the damage here, 6300. That's very high, and you have a 10-second reload on this ship here. Of course, you can get the reload down to almost 8 seconds if you put a full reload build on the ship. I don't. 10 seconds is fine. Of course, I would like to have another buff to the ship to get the reload down to 9 seconds. I think that's really needed. But as it is, 6300 and 10-second reload and a 16-kilometer range with an agile build. This is an agile build, by the way. That's really good. That's some really, really nasty AP here. And if you catch ships broadside, doesn't matter what ships they are. Cruisers, it's like a one-shot, perhaps a two-shot kill. Battleships, get that AP into the upper belt and you just get those very nice penetrations. Perhaps even citadels if you know where to aim. Next up, we have the torpedoes, and I love the torpedoes on the Hipper ships because the angles are excellent. You can almost fire them like just straight ahead, and you get 2 banks on each side, so that gives you, what would that be? That would be 12 torpedoes in all, and they reload really fast. You see, just over a minute. Damage is so-so, and the range is not good at 6 kilometers. The speed is also kind of mediocre, but these torpedoes are for brawling, so none of this really matters. I would like them to have a little bit more damage. I would like them to be at around 15,000, because sometimes firing 2 sets from one side of your Hipper is not enough to sink a battleship. You need a 3rd set from the other side. I realized that for balancing purposes, but again, Hipper is not performing that well, so a boost to the torpedo damage I think would be a nice thing to have. Of course, we need to look at the agility as well, and look at this. Like, this ship is a brick. Most people consider it one of the less agile ships in the game, but it's not. 740 meter turning radius, that's pretty good. Attack was 790 meters. 2.1 second rudder, that's really good, and you can turn this ship very, very quickly. It's not that fast, 36 knots, and you will struggle to hit 40 knots in this ship with a full speed build. I don't think you can actually. And that's a bit of a problem. 36 knots is fairly slow, but you'll just have to manage in this ship here. Alrighty, let's have a look at the armor here. As you can see, the ship is covered, pretty much covered in 27mm armor, same as Baltimore. And this is the reason I still prefer Hipper over Mines, because it can just take more damage, you can just absorb more damage, and if you angle that armor, you can bounce a lot more shells than the Mines can. Yes, the Mines has better damage output, but like I said, Hipper, it's all about brawling and using that sonar. So I don't really play the Hipper the same way I would play a Mines at all. Hipper also gets a 40mm icebreaker bow, and it's something a lot of people forget that this ship actually has. And unlike Prince Eugen, the icebreaker goes all the way to the stern of the ship. So anyone firing at that is very unlikely to get a citadel, if not impossible. Depends on how you're angled. So don't forget that if you go bow on in this ship here, you'll have a pretty good chance of just bouncing pretty much anything. Unless we are talking Yamatos or the really high caliber battleships and they hit above your icebreaker, then you're going to be in trouble as usual, but that's the same for pretty much any cruiser out there. Next up, I believe Hipper was the first ship in the game to, showcase the famous German Turtleback citadel armor. And you can see here what I mean, like the sides of the citadel are sloped, meaning that the shells can actually bounce on the citadel armor. And that's what we mean by Turtleback, and it works really well up close. From far away, plunging fire will still be a problem in Hipper, and again, that's why this ship is played the best up close and personal. And I think that's why the ship doesn't perform very well in the community. It's just because people play it like an HE spammer from afar, and that's just not the way to play it. Just search for my channel for Agile Hipper and you'll see plenty of battles where we take this ship here into the middle of the action and actually just beat up everybody. Now, this being an old ship, there's plenty of camos, and not just the CC camo, there's also the actual historical camo here, and then there's a weird looking Azure Lane camo here, and then there's also quite nice, I guess, snow camo, and a very, very ugly one here. Now, Hipper is quite relying on the maps that you get, and it does a lot better in domination battles, and especially on maps like Hotspot, for example, where you have lots of islands, lots of places to ambush the red ships. And that's a theme that goes again here, and Trap is also a very good map for Hipper, as well as Warrior's Path, also very good in domination, that is. Shards, also excellent. You should thank RNG if you get shards when you play Hipper. Tears of the Desert, also acceptable. Greece, also acceptable. And then we have the bad maps that are Atlantic in particular. Hipper really struggles on this map, and also on Land on Fire, like especially in Capture the Base on those two maps. The ship here is having a bit of a hard time. So remember, AP sonar is the strong point of the ship, along with its like toughness, and the engine gets taken out by HE very easily, so keep that in mind. Not as bad as Prince Eugen, but it's still a bit of a problem in Hipper. So hope you enjoyed this video, guys, and I'll see you out there.